Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Monday, July the 12th, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, I'm sure you're following what's coming out of Cuba, videos and tweets and all kinds of information that's coming out of Cuba about the demonstrations. These are the biggest demonstrations that we've seen in Cuba in 40 years. The last time anything like this happened was, you have to go back to 1979, 1980. And those demonstrations, those incidents back then created or pretty much led Cuba to the Mariel boat lift. That's when 100,000 people left Cuba in boats and ended up in Miami. That was the Mariel boat lift. And that, of course, happened throughout the late 70s when opposition and discontent in Cuba began to grow. And then one day Castro said, anybody who wants to leave the country, leave the country. And a lot of people took him literally. And they flooded embassies, the Peruvian embassy, the Canadian embassy, all kinds of embassies were full of people seeking asylum. And most of them, of course, left the country one way or the other. Well, today they're not flooding embassies. Today they're in the streets and they're marching against the regime. What's going on in Cuba is sort of a perfect storm. COVID clearly has hurt the Cuban economy tremendously because Cuba relies a great deal on tourism. And when you cut that off, when you stop the number of tourists going to Cuba, they've not closed completely, but I mean they've suffered a significant cutback. Well, that's going to cut into your cash and it's going to cut into your foreign exchange. On top of that, obviously the impact within Cuba has been very severe. The health issues are very severe. So all of these things have created a level of discontent that is about as high as it can get. Now, there have always been shortages in Cuba. There have always been problems in Cuba. But now, of course, it's grown to the point where people are willing to go out and stand up. Now, the original response from the Cuban government is that they're gonna break down these demonstrations. They're already sending military people to the streets to put down the rebellion. Now, they're not dressed as soldiers. They're dressed as civilians, but they are part of what they call a fast response team that goes out and puts down the people who are demonstrating. I don't think it's going to be very successful. I do believe that we are now at the end of this horrible, and I mean horrible, communist regime that has governed Cuba for 60 years. I cannot tell you how bad it's been. You have to live in Cuba to understand how bad communism has been for Cuba. So we hope that the President of the United States, Mr. Biden, will make a statement in support of the people in the streets and pretty much say that we are ready to help if necessary, because this is not going to end pretty in Cuba. This is the end. We're watching the end of the communist regime, and it may get bloody before it gets better, but this is the end of the communist regime. And you know, I was thinking about my parents when I did this little video, because as you know, my mother passed away a couple months ago. My father passed away 5 years ago, and of course, they're the reason that I left the country. They're the reason that I got to grow up in freedom. So anytime I think about Cuba, I think about them. And I have a feeling that they must be smiling up there. They have to be smiling up there, looking down at what I think they see and what I see, which is the end of this horrible, horrible communist regime that has destroyed the island of Cuba. Thank you for watching. And if today is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.